Bye! My name is Josh Miller. I own Riverstone Kennels, and I've been training gun dogs for more than 16 years. I have field trialed, I've hunt tested, but at the end of the day, I'm a duck hunter. You might find that the duck in our Duck Dogs podcast is spelled uniquely. The UK stands for my British Labs. I love my British Labs. I love what they offer me, both as a part of my family and the high motor in the field. As you're going to find, I have some pretty special dogs. Follow along in our podcast series here as we talk about both in the field hunting and in the field training situations that will hopefully help you progress with your dog at home. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Duck Dogs. I'm your host, Josh Miller, today joined again by Mr. Bret. And before we get rolling here, let's go through and thank our sponsors. Thank you to Eukanuba. Eukanuba is the presenting sponsor of this show. Eukanuba Premium Performance Sport 3020 is the blend of food that I feed my personal dogs and what keeps them going all year long. So go check them out, www.eukanuba.com. Also, thank you to Kent Cartridge. Kent Cartridge is your premium option for shotgun shells, both in the upland and the waterfowl field and in the training field, because they also have blanks as an option to purchase. So go check them out, www.kentcartridge.com. Also, thank you to Sitka Gear. Sitka Gear is your premium option for clothing in the field. It will keep you more comfortable for longer so you can enjoy those precious days that you get in the field more. So www.sitkagear.com. Also, thank you to Lucky Duck. Lucky Duck is your 5-star crash test rated kennel, both in the intermediate and in the large size. So no matter what size your dog is, you can be sure they're traveling as safely as possible. www.luckyduck.com. Thank you to Gun Dog Supply. Gun Dog Supply is your one-stop shop for all of your hunting and training needs for your four-legged hunting partner. Great people, great company, great selection. www.gundogsupply.com. And last but not least, thank you to Retriever Roadmap. Retriever Roadmap is your premium option for online training with a video library that will walk you through step-by-step how to successfully train your gun dog at home. So go check them out, www.retrieverroadmap.com. All right, well, we are home. We drove yesterday after the morning hunt, got home, somewhat unpacked the trailer. I did a little unpacking here this morning as well, and we're going to do this podcast, and then we're going to spend some much-needed recovery time here this afternoon. So, Bret, thank you for spending the time again today.
Yeah, thanks for having me once again. What a trip.
Yeah, what a trip.
Yesterday was, hunting-wise, probably wasn't what we'd hoped, but, that's how it always goes. But we did have a very pleasant experience with a warden when we got checked, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But, I'm glad to be back in Wisconsin. I still have 10 hours to go to get home, but we still have some work to complete before I make that trek. So, glad to be back.
Yeah, for sure. So, There are a few things I want to talk about before I get into yesterday. Yesterday was definitely a Hail Mary hunt. Mm-hmm. Like, we didn't feel great about it, but it's our last day, so let's get out there, right? So we'll talk about that a little bit, but I want to talk about a few things. Of course, you guys that are listening, we love hearing the comments and the questions and things that come in from our episodes. So the one thing that I asked you guys, and I would continue to ask you guys, is please let us know if you like these what I'm going to call in-the-moment recordings, because it is not convenient for us, just to be very frank.
Couple late nights.
Yeah, I mean, you think about what our schedule is, that we're up at 4:30. We are in the field hunting naturally when and you know how it is, when you're cold and the wind's blowing everything, you kind of just want to crash when you get back. We just don't have that time because we get back, we get the dogs out, do a little work with them, Then we have to get scouting. Then we scout until dark. Then we get back. Then we eat dinner. And then it's usually, 10 or later by the time we get these recordings done. And then by the time we're done with that, it's like, all right, now we're going to be done, get 4 hours of sleep and go do this all over again. So it's not convenient. But if you like it, we're going to continue doing it.
Right.
Because we feel like this is kind of a neat thing. I don't know of many if any other people that do this kind of thing. I'm sure because of the convenience factor.
Right.
But I've enjoyed it. I love, excuse me for a second. Excuse me. Hopefully that didn't blow your ears out. I love the in the moment aspect. I love the it's fresh in our mind, so we can really kind of dig into the details of what happened today. And so I really like that part of it.
Right. What I like about it's authentic. Is what we're doing is what everybody does. We're not going to an outfitter, so we're just not showing up and going to a spot, shooting our birds, coming back, eating lunch, relaxing. We're grinding the whole entire time. So, and some mornings there were guys that left the field to go scout, to see the check a field or whatever for the next day. So it's all authentic. This is all us doing what we love to do, and it's a ball of fun, but it's a grind.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point, actually, because we both have very good friends that are outfitters.
Yes.
Very good friends. Love them to death and want them to be extremely successful.
Absolutely.
Why it's not the right thing for us, I think, is because, we love the process. We love getting the work done. A lot of times, especially on the kennel, Instagram page, a lot of times people will send in and be like, dude, why don't you just go with an outfitter?
Mm-hmm.
Your dogs get more retrieved. You wouldn't have to work as hard. You wouldn't have, and all that's probably true. But I'm not hunting then, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not hunting, right? I'm showing up to pull a trigger and let my dog get feathers in their mouth. Now, for a young dog, probably wouldn't be a great option. And I'm not saying I would never do it, because it probably wouldn't be great. But I love what we do. This is what I've done since I was 16. And it's a lot of driving. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of getting turned down.
Right.
But it's a lot of pride when it all comes together, because you made that happen.
Yep.
No one else did. That was all you. And I love that satisfaction.
For sure. And if you look at it as an outfitter standpoint, they're doing all that work.
Mm-hmm.
So, they have the guys that are scouting every day and doing all the work. And, so it's very, to me, any good hunt's memorable. I've been, like you said, we have some great friends that are outfitters, and I've been on some fantastic hunts and had an absolute blast. But there's something just a little bit more when you do all the work yourself, that is more rewarding to me.
Mm-hmm.
So
for sure,
it's a lot of fun, but it's a grind.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm just gonna be very clear: we are not at all bashing outfitting.
Oh,
because we have Falco, who are great friends of ours. Stewart Ranch Outfitters, who plays a great friend of mine. We have Joey Kyle and Nick Ozier down in Arkansas that do guiding. Like, we have friends that are fantastic people, and we absolutely genuinely love, and we want them to be successful. So that's not it. It's just you do you.
Yep.
Like, for us, this is us.
Yep. And I get it. Some people don't have the time or the resources, and outfitting is more up their scale, and they're getting out in the field, and that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, no bashing, not whatsoever. I love the whole process.
Me too.
And so that's just who we are.
Me too.
So let's before we dig into everything else, let's talk about the trailer quick.
Let's talk about the trailer.
What's your overall thoughts? What anything that you would change? What's your overall thoughts on the trailer?
Yeah, so this being our first trip with the trailer, I was a little it was going to be a little bit of a feeling out process, right? Because I had certainly concerns, right? So was the temperature in the trailer going to stay as regulated as I thought it would, right? And it did. Mm-hmm. It was fantastic, actually. We never had any kind of issue. We never even got close, to any kind of an issue as far as, too hot, too cold, anything like that. It was perfect. So that was a big check mark for me because, of course, the dogs are the most precious cargo that we have in there, right? So check. Dust was another one. Did it get too dusty in there? It wasn't even close to as dusty as the dog trailer gets. Not even close.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we had one field, may not be safe, but we were just 2 miles down the road of where we were staying. But we had guys ride in the trailer
Mm-hmm.
and just see like what is it like in here, and the only thing that they had said negative, they said no problem with the dust, no problem with anything. They said the only thing that they didn't like is that when rocks hit the bottom of the trailer, it was loud.
Right.
Well,
yep.
Nothing anyone can do about that.
Right.
So I love all of that. I think the size is absolutely perfect. It really is perfect.
It is. Yeah.
And that was probably the biggest back and forth that we had as we were buying the trailer. Like, what size? So ours is a 22, so 20 to the V and another 2, so 22 total. It seemed I didn't want to go any bigger, but in my head, 18 was probably going to be ideal.
Mm-hmm.
A little smaller to get in and out of fields with. I would have been very disappointed if we went 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
You get in there now with all the stuff that's in there, and it's like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you take the kennels out, like when we get to camp or whatever, when you take the kennels out, there's still stuff that goes there, hunting wise. So it's just I think it's the perfect size.
Me too. Now we made 2 additions while we were out there.
Mm-hmm.
We made a kind of a hanging shelf, which is probably, what would you guess, 8 feet of that trailer, ish. And we've been sliding up the frames of the Lucky Duck 2x4 blinds, which is so great that we don't have to assemble those. It's just right. And then we put tie downs up there so everything rides nice, really, really well. The only thing we do need to put in that trailer that I don't think we have right now is full body duck decoys.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is that if when I look at it, I've always been a guy that's like, ducks are going to go sit down with geese. Right? Maybe not the other way around, but ducks are going to go sit with geese. But now, especially in the Dakotas, we have just had too many hunts, this week being one of them, that there were a lot of ducks hitting a field that there were no honkers in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think you can make the argument, probably doesn't matter, you can put honker decoys out.
For sure.
But, with just, if birds aren't doing it, all this stuff kind of goes through your mind, right? Like, okay, do they not like the honkers because they haven't been here? Like, what's going on, right? So I just think we need to put, a good number of full body, duck decoys. That's the only thing that I think we need to put in there.
And then look at the space when you add those.
It's done. It's done.
It's full.
Yeah, it's done for sure.
Yeah.
We also put a workbench up in the front, and this is where Travis, he has a company called AMR Specialties, and he does a fantastic. He is so talented.
Oh yes,
fantastically talented woodworker, carpenter. He made a beautiful duck call display case for Bret.
Incredible.
And and then he did that work in the trailer, and so he's just so talented at, like, it would not look anywhere near that clean and that nice if I did it.
Right.
So I'm so glad that he did it. But it's I really like that because it just adds so much. I mean, from being able to set stuff up high, stash stuff below. He put a little, I can't remember what he had a term for it. But basically it was like a little, kick up board that the things that are underneath the shelf couldn't slide out, which I thought was great. And again, just kind of kept the cleanliness as far as like this line back, is going to say organized here. Really great.
Yep.
Really great. So the duck decoys, really the only thing that I feel like we need to add. Agree? Disagree?
That's the only, besides when the snow starts hitting, get some snow covers.
Snow covers, yeah.
But that's the only thing I think we're really missing. And I'm like you, I've never really hunted over a lot of full body ducks. Usually just goose decoys. Like at home, even when I'm hunting on the lake, big body of public water, I have a tendency to use more Canada floaters and Canada field decoys, just because you watching the birds, they love to go into those Canada geese and
visibility, right?
Right, and visibility. So yeah, it's I think if we add some full bodies, that trailer will be complete.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. So love the trailer, like really all the way around. I don't know. I think I made the comment to you as we were filling up at one of the stops coming back. It's about perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would change anything. Now I don't like, and this isn't the trailer's fault, but I don't like how the front end looked like a dang golf ball right now, going up and down. I like that. Just it absolutely kills me that we spend the time and the investment to get something nice and fancy and new, and it doesn't look new anymore.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen. Maybe there's a solve for it somewhere. Joe Perez, who owns RPM Training Products, go check them out first off. If you need, leads, if you're part of Retriever Roadmap, you know about the handler leads and why that's important. Joe just does a fantastic, and he literally hand makes everything. So if you go to Gundog Supply, another sponsor of this show, and go find RPM, he has great products. Go check him out. And he's just a great person.
Yeah, great guy.
Yep. But he had said, hey, what if we solve the problem of you not liking where those lights are? The light bars, if you guys have followed along at all on the Riverstone stories, I'm not crazy. I literally told the guys, put one of the light bars in the front of the trailer, one of the light bars in the back, all off the passenger side, so it would cover the most, area. He's like, let's just put 2 more up there. I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of cool, So we might do that. So there might be a few more tweaks, coming, but I really, really like the layout.
Yeah. I'm really disappointed in the in some of the rock dents in it already because we put those rock tamers on there, and I don't know. Somehow they're still sneaking around and dinging it up. And of course, when North Dakota, we're always traveling. Very seldom do we find a pavement road. Most of them are gravel roads, and those rocks fly wherever, whenever, even at slower speeds. So yeah, that's the only disappointing thing that I've seen so far. So hopefully, when we get it wrapped, that it'll cover that up, and then we need to figure out a solution.
Yeah, we do, whether that's diamond plate in the front or I don't know. We have to find a solution for it because it's so irritating to me that it's there. But yeah, and the only consolation that I have is so I can't remember what those rock tamers were, $500 or something like that, and it's like, well, that was a waste.
Right.
But maybe it would be 10 times worse. It probably would be if we didn't have it, you know. So so it's hard to say that it was a waste of money, but love the trailer. Really love it, actually.
Yeah. No.
So, okay, so I want to touch on one of the questions that somebody had sent in, and really was kind of based around a comment that you had made. It would have been after, I think, day 1.
I think
the marking.
Day 1.
Okay, so there's a comment that somebody had sent in that, they said, hey, Bret had said that the thing he was most impressed with over that hunt with Solo was Solo's marking, right? How he stepped on every mark and he was right there, which he was impressive with it.
Mm-hmm.
He really was. And so the question was, that I trained with I think it was a retriever club, and, they expect that dogs step on marks. So why is this so impressive? Okay. I think it's a great question. One that I wanted to dig into here because I just don't think that we could have really elaborated like I would have wanted to on a message. Okay. So, this is the difference between hunting and training / testing. Okay. So when you are training, okay, there is one bird that comes out, one bird that lands. Even if you're doing a triple mark, it's one bird, boom, watch it land, move to the next one. One bird, boom, watch it land. Next one, boom, watch it land. Okay. Now, I'm not taking away any of this because it is incredibly impressive when a dog can go boom, 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 step on all 3 marks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All my, all my dogs have done it. They won't do it every time. No dog will do it every time. But I have some dogs that are very, very good markers, right? Brock being one of them. Mm-hmm. Like that dude is going to step on the majority of marks, right? And if not, he gets in their area, he hunts, and he's successful. So there's certain dogs that I have that are just very impressive with it, Solo being one of those dogs. It is a different caliber situation when you go into the field and you have, in a situation like we had with Solo, you have 200 mallards that are coming to sit down. You have, what do we have, 7 shooters pop up and unload, and there are birds pop, 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 falling everywhere. And oh, by the way, your dog does no longer has the opportunity to go, boom, that one landed there. Now look for the next one. Boom, that one landed there. Now the next one. No, it's fall, 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 fall. And not only is he marking them as they're coming down, but he's having to also look at the other ones. It is a different caliber situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, we can have if you want to have a discussion about this, let's have a discussion about this. But it is a different calibered situation. And so when you take a dog like that, especially a dog in what we're calling his first season, that will go solo, boom, step on it, comes back, solo, boom, step on the next one, come back, solo, boom, step on the next one, come back. That triple, 10 times more impressive than a triple setup, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
I just don't think it's even in the same ballpark.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of times, especially when, in those situations, dogs will get in the area. They have somewhat of a mark on it. And, but they may they'll hunt for just a little bit and okay, boom, they'll find it, they'll catch wind of it or whatever it is. They typically get in the area, but Solo literally was stepping on the mark. So that's why I made that comment, that's what I was most impressed with, because I've watched a lot of dogs, and even my own dogs sometimes, they go out and get in the area, but it may take them, 15 seconds or whatever to hunt in the area where that bird had fallen, and then they'll find it and bring it back. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was, most impressed with it. Brock yesterday, since you mentioned him earlier, had a three pintails come in, and boom, 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 and I don't think you were watching where the one fell, but you looked at Brock, and Brock was locked in. Mm-hmm. And I remember you making the comment. He goes, well, I know where Brock, you made the comment something of like, well, Brock knows where it's at or something like that.
He had a mark. I did.
And yes, correct. And, and said Brock, and boom, he went right out, stepped on it, and came right back.
Well, so let's break down that situation, because this is a very basic situation, but I still think it's going to kind of elaborate on what we're just talking about, right? So in this case, 3 pintails come in. All 3 should have been dead.
Yes.
But all 3 came, 3 came in, boom, 1 falls, the other 2 keep going.
Right.
Okay. So Brock, just like every shooter, okay, so think about yourself. I'm going to come back to this. Think about yourself in this situation. Okay. Boom, 1 falls, we start following the next ones. Boom, boom, and are shooting the next 2 as they get out, right? So Brock watches the first one fall, but I don't believe that they're probably watching to the ground. They're watching it fall, and they're getting back to their job of following the group, right? Now, this is a 3-pack. What if it was 300, which we had happen, right? Yep. Think of the chaos, and think of, okay, you're watching birds fall, but you're also trying to keep your eyes on the other birds in the air, because that's where the next marks are coming from for both the handler, hunter, and the dog, right? There's a lot going on there. So trying to mark. Okay, so in this situation, okay, boom, the one falls. I didn't shoot that one, and I kept going with the other birds, and I didn't, shoot on the end because they're going over. I didn't want to shoot over everyone else, so they're going to the right. I was on the left-hand side, but I'm watching, right, because I'm trying to get marks on other birds. Well, I realized after the shooting, I came back, was like, I don't have a mark on this bird,
right,
and we were in a chopped cornfield, so the stalks are high, and I don't know where the bird is, but I looked down at Brock, and he literally went from looking at those birds to foomp, locked right in. And so for me as a handler, instead of going, hey guys, does anybody know where that is? I can handle him to it. I'm looking at him going, I trust him. Say his name, and he literally stepped on that bird, right? And as he's going out, that's when I made the comment to you. I was like, I didn't have a mark, but it looked like he did. And he did.
Yep.
Right? So again, okay, now this is the you part. Okay, so I'm trying to just magnify the situation as far as the level of difficulty that these dogs are in as far as marking goes on these live hunts. Okay, so when you come into a training setup, you know where the birds are going to land, right? Because either you set it up, or even if someone else set it up, you're going to watch it and go, okay, so out of that holding line, going to come there, right? How many times in a hunting situation do you boom, 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 And how many times do you go, gosh, I know 7 fell. Well, where are they? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows where they are. Okay, now let's put that back. Now it is 10 times, 100 times more impressive that the dog does if it's a good marking dog. Now it's no one in the blind. We have 10 people in the blind. Nobody knows where it is. And that happened on that solo hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew how many fell. Nobody knew where they were. Solo, boom, stepped on it. Solo, boom, stepped on it. Solo, boom, stepped on it.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me? That's why that's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to mention that. You hit the nail on the head. How many times when you're in the blind with a group of buddies and, a big flock comes in, or maybe it's only 25, and you pull up and you shoot and shoot and shoot, and let's say you kill 2. And you go, well, I think the one fell there, but maybe you're 10 yards off. It actually fell a little different because you see it falling, but you don't see it hit the ground. So then you're going to the next one shooting again, and then you go back and say, well, why isn't that one I thought was right there and it's not there? I think it was our third day with it was Whitney and Kelly's last day. There was a couple birds that fell that guys in the blind thought they had eyes on them, and they were way off.
Mm-hmm.
But the dogs.
And that was the big group day.
Yeah.
So we had big groups. And I used the 200-300 birds example just because we had that situation, and it is chaotic, right? But you're right. 20 pack.
Yeah.
Most of the time, people don't know where these birds fell,
right?
In Texas, we had the situation where a group came in, shot some teal, and wanted to sail kind of across the body of water that we were hunting. Okay, so boom, 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 pick them up, and I sent Brock on a blind because I didn't know where it was. Right, but they were telling me where this was. Okay, so I send him, takes a line. Okay, and they're like, "Hey, he's a little to the left. You need to send him, to the right. Back to the right." Okay, so I'm like, "Okay, tweet, give him an angle back cast," and he takes like 3 steps and hammers left. Okay, and everyone in the blind is like, "Hey, no, way right. He's going the wrong way. He's going the wrong way." Well, I'm reading this, going, he's not acting like this for nothing.
Right.
He is hot. He's like, well, he kept going, and everyone's like, wrong way, wrong way, wrong way. Boom! Here he comes out with a bird. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, guys. He's a better hunter than you are.
For sure.
Yeah.
And
so it's just these situations that's like, this is why hunting and training, and you can throw testing or trial and everything in there. It is different. Mm-hmm. It is just simply different.
Yep. Yeah.
And this is why Tucker, which did we talk about Tucker yet?
I think we talked. Well, he went on the one hunt where he watched,
mm-hmm.
and then you took him on the solo hunt the last night, which
I don't think we talked about that yet.
We have not talked about. We were going to talk about it on the way home.
That's right.
Yesterday.
That's right.
And
so we need to talk about Tucker, but that's why putting him in the hunt was so important. I know this dude's a monster training. I know he's very impressive when we do setups and but that's not hunting. Show me what you're going to do in a hunting setup.
Right.
Show me what you're going to do in a hunting situation because that's very impactful.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So we need to talk about Tucker too.
No, now that I think about it, we did talk about him because that was the night I went scouting and had the miserable night. So you and I sat down that podcast. I have to release it yet. I have to edit it because I haven't had time to edit it.
Okay.
But we definitely talked about that night of your hunt and then my miserable night of scouting.
Okay. So we did talk about Tucker, but he was fantastic.
Oh yeah, I wasn't there, but I know the night that I was, or the day that I was there on his first hunt watching. Yeah, he was. Mm-hmm. He was fantastic.
And redshirted him a few hunts, not a full season because of his age. We talked about all that stuff, right? But I still truly believe that redshirting him for those, call it 4 or 5 hunts, probably 6 hunts, that helped him be that successful on that first hunt.
For sure.
I really believe that. And we've had way too many people send in the same conclusion that redshirting your dog is that impactful.
Yeah. We actually just had a comment the other day of somebody that took their 10-month-old, I think it was 10-month-old, out and didn't have a very good experience and now are going to sit the dog for the rest of the year. So, but, it's just one of them things. I get it. Be the same way. You get this dog, you put all this time into the dog, you think the dog's ready, and then you introduce them into a totally different environment, and the screws the screws come off. They just they do things that you didn't expect them to do, and they're seeing things that they've never seen before. So it's just things unravel very quickly.
That's right.
So
that's right.
So
that's right.
But
okay, so let's get into the last day. So you scouted, had all those issues, and when we came back, we didn't have a field that we were crazy about.
Right.
You or Travis, everything you found was like, yeah, there's some here, yeah, there's some there.
Right.
We're just not overly confident that they will be there tomorrow. It wasn't something anyone was excited about, but it's the last morning that we're going to be there. So let's throw a Hail Mary. Let's see if we can. I love calling these Hail Mary hunts, and the reason I do, because again, sports analogy. You think about a Hail Mary in football. It is as much as that it is very, 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 very likely that it is not going to go your way, and it is not going to be successful. You're still excited about it. Like when that ball goes up in the air, you're just like
the anticipation.
And that's, I made a comment, I think it was to Joe when we were setting up. I was like, you realize we could be setting up, and 2 hours from now we could be talking about an unbelievable, amazing day this was.
Yep.
And that's kind of that anticipation, right? It's like, and when I have that with a lot of hunts, right? But I don't know, I just felt like this could be one of those hunts. It wasn't.
Nope.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things like, hey, like this could be unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that's why we do this.
Yeah. And it was pretty much the standard of how our whole week went. I mean, we had some really good successful hunts, but there was more birds in the field than what we had seen. That one field that we were super excited about that had 1,000+ Canadas in it went diminished, the next day.
Literally overnight.
Yeah, literally overnight. So same thing happened yesterday. Was there were birds in the area, but they got up and flew literally the opposite direction of the field that they were in. So it just, that's how, our night, or that's just how it went.
The whole week was very erratic as far as patterning birds. It was very difficult. That was kind of the theme for me as I kind of look out the week. It was very tough that way.
Yep.
The whole week.
Yep. Yeah, day one. I mean, there was 500, 600, 700 geese in there, and maybe 200 of them showed back up. And so the one roost we were watching, it went from having a boatload of ducks and geese on it to the last night when I had all the troubles, it didn't hardly have any birds on it. So
it was loaded.
It was
just
loaded
the day before.
Yeah, and there was hardly any birds on it. So it was and this was before I had trouble, so I was out there in plenty of time where they weren't off the roost yet. So it was a challenge, but that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So so the hunt itself, pretty anticlimactic. Like, I really don't think there's even a ton to really talk about. I mean, we had a group of snow geese. You do it right away. That was kind of fun. They didn't do it, but they were passing over at
25 yards,
30 yards. Yeah. I mean, so that was close enough to doing it.
Yep.
So shot into those snows. Had a few groups of Canadas do it just like we drew it up.
Yep.
Right, where we were hiding, where the wind was, why we set up the way we did. Everything was great.
Yep.
And then that 1 3-pack of pintails, that was it. So it was very slow. Brock he was perfect.
Yep.
It was
good.
That was him,
Yep.
right? He's super steady. Retrieves a hand. Like, there wasn't a retrieve that was like, hey, we should talk about this retrieve even.
Right.
Like, it was just one of those. It was like, hey, you picked up, the birds that were shot, and that was it. You know, so nothing really over the top. But what was interesting is, I don't know, probably half hour before we pick up, on the road, we see the warden truck drive by, and I was like, oh, there's a warden, right? And we watched him. He kept driving, like, whatever. So we sit there and hunt for another half hour, right? And then walk back to the truck, and I look down the road, and I can see him parked on the side of the road,
doing his
job, right? Yep. And I don't know why. So we, as a group, we are all over the top as far as licenses, Okay, and what I mean by that is that I buy a duck stamp literally on every single hunt.
Mm-hmm.
One, because I do appreciate the conservation, piece of it. Two, because I want to be 110% over the top that I'm doing this right. Because, like, Wisconsin forever, you had to have the duck stamp on the physical license. I don't believe it's like that anymore, but other states you didn't. But if it was on my Wisconsin license, I didn't have my license, but I still bought my federal stamp. And I'm just like, I don't want to flirt with a gray area. I'm just going to buy one every single hunt, right? So, and we all do that, right? So you are there just, photographing, videography. Rob Snell, Gun Dog Spy, just there photographing. But you guys buy licenses.
Yep. And I even showed him, when he started checking.
Right.
And in the state of North Dakota, which we had found out, you don't have to. If you're not shooting, you do not have to have a license.
But in some states,
you do.
The verbiage is anyone participating in the hunt.
Right.
And so a little bit of gray area.
Yep.
So what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, is simply being there, participating in the hunt?
Yep.
Hard to say.
The other thing that I always get nervous about with all these states that we go to is, having an electronic license versus a paper license. And there are still some states that require a paper license. And then there are states that, they have apps and you can just show on the app or have a screenshot of your license. So as long as you have, your federal stamp or proof that you purchased a federal stamp, you're good. But I always get nervous about like the paper versus electronic thing because, the world is all switching to electronics where, when I was a kid, you had to have it on your back.
Right.
So, that was many moons ago, but you literally had to have the license.
Back in my day.
They made these special pouches, with a big safety pin that, that went on the back of your jacket. And that's where you had to wear it. If you didn't have it worn on the back of your, that was considered illegal. So,
well, so what I thought, where I was going with that is we are all way over the top.
For sure.
Make sure we are 110% legal.
Right.
But there's just something about knowing that the warden is sitting there watching you.
Oh, yeah.
We all get nervous. It's like, oh, gosh, like, what, are we doing something wrong? Or
Right.
what? Like, we're not.
Yep.
And so when he came in, so I thought he was super professional.
Very professional.
He let us wait until we finished our hunt. He didn't drive because I've had wardens literally drive into the middle of the spread in the middle of the hunt and be like, hey,
get your stuff
licenses, get them out, show me everything. It's just like, gosh, man, like, like, even though we're not doing anything wrong, you just ruined our hunt, right? He was great. Waited till the end, drove out in the field, was like, hey, guys, how's it going? You guys, shoot anything? So we told him, okay, sounds good. Well, just, could I just, see everybody's licenses? Of course, everybody's overly prepared. Boom, boom, boom. He's like, great, thanks. And, okay, so then it came down to you and Rob, and you guys are both like, well, I'm just taking photos, but I'll show you my license. And he's like, okay. Like, you could just tell it in his face. He's just like, you got to imagine the lies that he hears on a regular basis,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
But I thought it was hilarious that you and Rob took your cameras over to him, like, want to check these. And he was great about it. He laughed, and he's like, gosh, that's cool. And then you guys were showing him all your photos and stuff, and he was all into it. He was great.
Yeah.
He really was. Yeah. And circling back around, he actually drove to that field. If you remember, at the very first day that we said there was a field that we were told that the wardens are considering it a baited field. He literally drove with us after we picked up, followed us to the field, walked into the field with us, and said, "Hey, is this legal or is this not?" Right. And so he just said, "There's way too much gray area here to flirt with this, and I wouldn't do it."
Yep.
And it wasn't a state thing.
Right.
He was a state guy.
Yep.
He's like, for me, I would do because we don't have a regulation on it, so I would do exactly what I did to you guys today. Come out. You guys are all legal. You're good.
Yep.
Right? But if a federal guy is here, it's going to be a different story.
Yep.
But how cool was that?
Yeah.
Like, on top of him being super kind, professional, great experience, right? Because that's always my fear, especially when you have someone new in the field with you. You don't want some jerk coming out there being rude, being mean, being aggressive, because that's just going to turn new people off, right? He was the opposite. I thought he was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And then to go out of his way to drive to that field with us, walk that field with us, and tell us, right? Because if he went in there and he's like, you guys, like, this is 100% legal. Like, you guys are good. There's 10,000 ducks hitting this field. Like, we're going to hunt it, right? But he didn't say that, so we didn't, right? We don't want to flirt with gray area. We don't like to do everything, right? So, but it was super interesting.
Yeah, he was probably, like you said, was been checked many a times, but he just was like, he loved his job. And you could tell because he's like, license, when I went over there, showed him my license, he goes, awesome, you're great, perfect. And then guns, you guys pulled out your guns. He wanted to see, you had to put, try to get more than 3 or 2 into the magazine. Oh, perfect. Awesome. You guys are doing great. He was just super positive about the whole situation and made it very, very pleasant. And that's what I liked. And then for him, and just to clarify a little bit. So, if you remember the first podcast, we had talked to the actual county we were hunting in, that game warden, you and Travis had actually called him on the phone, and he'd heeded the warning of probably not. Well, this game warden was not that guy. He was from a different county, had no idea about this field, at least what he portrayed to us, and for him to go out of his way, you guys drive over there, walk into the field, and give his opinion, just super professional. Love those experiences.
One of the things that I thought was so funny is that we get done, and he's like, man, thank you guys for being so buttoned up and made this super nice. And I said, thank you for being so professional, because this made it, and doing your job, right? Like, we have a lot of respect for what you do. And he's like, when I drove up here and saw all of you guys wearing Sitka head to toe, and your dog literally never moved from that blind, he's like, I figured you guys were pretty big time and had everything buttoned up. so I thought that was funny, but
you got to respect game wardens
100%,
because they deal with people with guns or weapons on a daily basis. That's what they're dealing with.
Well, and think about, I think so many of us that do things right don't see or even think about this other side.
Right.
But there are so many people out there doing it wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And there are people that are poaching on a regular basis. There are people that are shooting over their limit. There are people that are taking advantage of the system. There are people that, and this is what always kind of boggles my mind. This is the same with police officers, to me, is that they almost have to go into every situation like this is going to be a bad deal. Because if they don't, now they're caught off guard. Right? And so it's like, for us, we're a bunch of, in my opinion, great people, super nice, super laid back, doing everything right, by the book, doing all this stuff, right? He doesn't know that.
Right. He has no idea who we are.
He could be walking into a bunch of guys that have warrants out for arrest, or like, hey, like, we're not going to jail today. You know what I mean? Like, who knows?
Right.
And so that's always what, like, when I say you have to respect these guys. From that standpoint, you're right away. And I wouldn't say that he jumped out of his truck smiling, going, "Hi guys, want to be friends?" But I think as the time went on, after just a few minutes, he knew we weren't doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
He knew that hey, this is, these guys are laughing, kind of, joking around, like, this is a pretty laid back deal. Yeah. I also think that's one of the reasons he went out of his way to go to that field with us, is because he knew we weren't doing anything wrong, right?
Yeah. I mean, just how he came into the field, he got back to us pretty quick.
He was Bahan over, whoom over those hills,
making sure we weren't hiding anything or whatever, you know. But
well, think about how often that probably happens.
Oh, for
right?
Sure.
Oh, warden.
Yep.
People are stashing stuff, hiding, I don't know what, over the limit, whatever it is. Like, I don't know, we had, this was a long, long, long time ago. We had a warden in North Dakota. Could have been the same guy for all I know, but this was a long time ago, so it wasn't. Because this was a fairly younger guy, wouldn't you say, like late 30s or so? The guy that checked us.
Yeah.
You know what you think?
Yep. Yeah, maybe not early 30s. He was a pretty young.
You might have been right. Yeah. So, anyways, I was probably 18, 19, 20, somewhere in there, and we had a situation where we hunted. and when we were picking up decoys, we found an extra duck that we didn't know we had shot, right? It didn't put us over our limit, but it definitely could have if we had limited out, right? So we ran into a warden on the road, just kind of driving around, and he kind of waved at us. We stopped and talked. Hey, you guys find anything? Whatever. And I just asked him, like, man, like, how do you handle the situation? And kind of walk through everything. And he was so great. He's like, look, man, like, we get accidents happen. If you were to call us, we'd probably take the duck from you, something like that. Like, I can't remember the details of what he talked me through, but to have guys that, like, and I would say, in my experience, the majority of wardens are like this. Especially if they know you're not trying to screw with them. You're not trying to do something wrong, right? You're trying to do something right by actually calling them. Like, so the first guy we talked to on the phone, the second guy that we dealt with, and then I actually called the the federal representative after talking to the second guy, because he had said, I think you could hunt this field next to it, but you should call him to make sure. All of those guys were super open to, hey, here's my number. If you ever need anything, feel free to call me anytime. Be happy to talk through things with you. Super, super nice.
Yep.
I get it. Not all of them like that. I have had experiences myself, right, that has not been the case.
Yep.
But the majority of them are. The majority of them are good people, and quite frankly, they're protecting the way of life that we like to live.
Right.
And we should be respectful of that.
Yeah. I got to tell one little story quick of a not so pleasant experience that I had, and it's not a big deal now. I was probably an immature 20-year-old at the time when this happened, but I got checked. We were hunting an island, and there were two wardens that snuck behind us. Never saw them coming. Next thing we know, we get a knock on our blind. This is public area, and game wardens. And so we opened up the door. And the one game warden was always known to be a little more stickler. I always referred to him that he'd probably write his grandma a ticket if he could, So, but anyhow, he's checking us. And at this time, I had just really started to get into the goose calling circuit and, doing all that fun stuff. And obviously, I'm not going to do anything to tarnish any of that. So I've always been obviously by the book. But anyhow, he gets to my federal stamp, and I had my federal stamp signed. But literally, the bottom loop of my Y and airs went outside of the stamp. Just the very smallest portion was outside of the stamp. He made me re-sign it. Pulled a pen out of his pocket, gave it to me, and said, your name's not fully on this stamp. You need to re-sign it. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, see your Y? And it was just a very small portion, so he made me resign it. So, I mean, those are always situations. This guy was always by the book, like I said, very stickler and everything. But I always find that a little, maybe that was much, but he's just doing his job. I get it. Was my name fully on it? I guess not. With just the loop of the Y, going outside of that stamp. But it was an interesting experience. He was super nice too, afterwards, after I signed, he goes, perfect. Like I said, he handed me a pen out of his pocket so I could re-sign it. And he could have probably given me a ticket if he wanted to, but it's just something like that. I didn't even probably pay attention when I signed my name because, I just went on the stamp and signed it, and just a very, very small portion of it went outside that stamp. So it just, always an experience with something.
So as long as we're telling warden stories, I got to tell one from earlier. So I have not been checked very often, but I've already been checked twice this year. Yeah. And so one of them was down in Texas. Full disclosure, I am going to say a cuss word in this story. So if you have kids around, earmuff this. Okay, so we're in the blind during teal season. Warden comes up on the road. He's got his tip waders on. He comes out. You got to check us. No big deal. So same thing, but this guy was a little more, came across as more stern, right? So he came up and, I saw him coming. I'm trying to be nice. I'm like, how's it going? He's like, licenses and guns. I'm just like, oh, okay, So I was the first one to get checked. Handed my license. Good, gun. Okay, so I, hand it to him. He unloads it, makes sure that the plug's in there. Right. And meanwhile, as he's doing this, he's like, you guys can still shoot while I'm here, just so you know. Okay, cool. So I'm kind of watching for ducks as he does his thing. He's like, all right, you're good. Hands me the gun back, and he's like, shells are back in, and I'm like, okay. So he's probably, I don't know, third or fourth guy on the on the line, and he literally looks up and he's like, hey, birds are coming. And I was like, all right, so everyone's nervous to shoot because the warden's right here, right? But he's literally telling us to shoot. And so group comes in, and I'm like, all right, kill him, guys. Nobody comes up, so I'm like, all right. So I come up, and I go, click. Well, he put all the shells back in except the one in the chamber, right? I didn't know that because he said shells are back in there. And this was just pure emotion, like in the moment stuff. And I was like, oh, you bitch. and I meant like the gun, like, oh, shoot, I should have known that.
Right.
And immediately I clicked of like, he thinks I just called him that. And I turned and looked, and he turned and looked at me. And I was like, I didn't mean that to you. And he starts laughing. And I was like, oh, my gosh. He literally turned and looked at me like I thought, oh, my gosh, it was funny.
Yep. That's hilarious.
But again, that wasn't, I would say, as pleasant of a check as North Dakota was. But still, it was a good, I'm not trying to screw with you guys. I'm not trying to ruin your hunt. I'm not trying to, be. It was a very professional check. So I would say I'm 2 for 2 on positive experiences this year.
Yeah. Like I said, I totally respect the game wardens. They're just like you and I. They get up every morning. They have a job to do. And, it's just some people find it just like with cops. People don't respect what they do. And I have the utmost respect for them, like I said, dealing with people with weapons on a daily basis and knowing that what you're going into is on a daily basis. So, yeah, totally respect them.
For sure. So, okay, so what we're going to be doing now is I'm going to be kind of evaluating my notes from my dogs here that were on this hunt. I'm also going to be trying to get some Wisconsin hunts in, especially with the dogs that didn't get to go because of breeding duties. And then we have probably about 2 weeks, and we'll be back in North Dakota again. Or would it be 3 weeks? End of the month.
Yeah.
End of the month, we'll be back in North Dakota again. So we'll kind of do the same thing here. So, but keep an eye on the Riverstone Kennels page. We're going to continue to document and show these hunts. Again, please let us know if you've liked these kind of in the moment style of episodes. And it is Sunday, and it is 11:52, and the Jaguars play at noon. So we need to get done right. We need to get done right now. So I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I hope you're off to a great start of your hunting season, and make sure to get those dogs out as much as you can because this is exactly the time of year that we train for. So hope you guys have a great. I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing that. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, leave us a review on iTunes, and a special thank you to Eukanuba because without them, we couldn't do what we do here, bringing this information to you.